The Giles Files is sponsored by BetterHelp, affordable professional online therapy from any device, text, chat, and video. BetterHelp offers licensed therapists who are trained to listen and help you. Join the 2 million plus people who have taken charge of their mental health with a BetterHelp therapist. And here's a special offer for Giles Files listeners. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/Giles Files. That's betterhelp.com/Giles Files. And thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast. It's the Giles Files Season 3. More Boffo shows, that's a guarantee. Nancy Giles and producer Nancy Wyatt, we got opinions, we ain't keeping quiet on the Giles Files Season 3. Okay? Her social media handle is I am legally hype 3. Her first TikTok post got her 18 million hits. We know her as A.B. Burns Tucker. She is a new kind of pundit. She tells it like it is in her own unique style. A.B. can throw down some knowledge. And by the way, she throws it down fast, so you better listen up. Here is her take on what went down with the Supreme Court draft leak on the Roe v. Wade decision.
Okay, so apparently the American democracy is going through a complete mental breakdown, and I hope we get it together soon. So somebody leaked a draft opinion from the Supreme Court where them folks over there talking about they finna overturn Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood v. Casey. Then they try to save face by being like, oh, it's just a draft opinion, like hold your horses, you don't need to trip. No, because at least 3 of y'all didn't have no business voting the way you did anyway. So you lied in your job interview, you lied under oath, and I've seen people fired for less. Not sure if this is an impeachable issue, but do we need a 4th branch of government? Because you're out here tripping, Supreme Court. In 1992, them justices told you, don't be trying to come back 20 years from now overturning these decisions, because what's going to happen is that the American people are no longer going to trust that we know what we're doing when we do what we do in the background, in secret and in silence, when we're making decisions about how these folks are allowed to live their life on earth. And under the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, everybody, all American citizens, have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which means the states don't have no business getting involved with what a woman decides to do with her body before she even knows if she can carry a baby full term.
How many hours of research goes into these incredibly short, to the point pieces that you do?
It can take hours, but I would say like one piece, for example, I may gather facts for about a day, right? We'll say like a day, and then kind of go through that and see like, well, what's the trend and what everybody's talking about for today, and kind of what are the primary pieces that make the most sense to the community that I'm speaking to.
Who do you consider, or who do you want your community to be?
I mean, for sure, Black people. I mean, like, that's just what it is. But obviously it's expanded to just millennials and Gen Z and Gen X in general, right? Like a community who wants to know, right? If you want to know what's going on, right? Like, then you are welcome into this community. And if you don't understand me, that's okay, because there are news stations that I don't understand, or other people who listen to me don't understand, and there's no judgment to them, or, you know, whatever. Like, if this ain't for you, it's just not for you, and that's okay. So again, I think like my primary focus was like my friends in general, you know what I mean? And I'm grateful that it has expanded to a larger network.
Millions have watched A.B. Burns Tucker's videos on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, but they're not just for entertainment.
I Am Legally Hype is a TikTok star who's gone viral with her rapid-fire commentary on political, social, and global issues.
Informant and schooling the masses in a unique way that is definitely a breath of fresh air.
The updates Gen Z and millennials are getting on the war in Ukraine, and why A.B. says it's so important to speak in their language. For this content creator, the demand is high. She says since going viral, she's received so many requests to be a commentator both on and off social media, she's had to quit her day job as a paralegal.
Here's A.B. spreading some knowledge about how the war in Ukraine comes at a cost.
Freedom ain't free. It's not free. It's going to cost, and y'all going to help us pay for this war. Now, we know you didn't agree to it, and you don't really got much to do with it, but y'all got to help us pay. So here's the deal. Price of gas is not going down no time soon. No, we finna ride this thing out at least through the end of the year. We're gonna have to ride it out. And your bread is probably gonna go from $5.99 to $12.99, but that's just what it is. We just taking a little bit off the top. So you're gonna feel it, but you're not gonna really feel it. You feel me? And I was like, well, I feel it, because I wish I would have told me this before I put my 2-week notice in. Now I gotta go beg these people from my job back because it ain't no way I can keep paying $8.99 for gas. I can't. It's not gonna happen. And they was like, okay, well, do what you gotta do. But yeah, that's what it is. And I'm like, okay, what's the good news? And they was like, well, the good news is, maybe the war will end faster than we really thought it was, because apparently Big Bang P was doing a lot of this and not enough this. He didn't really think this whole thing out. So his people, they a little bit hungry. They ain't got enough food. They don't really got all the little gaps and stuff they said they had or they was bragging about earlier. Yeah, they running out. And the Ukes is running them pretty dry, right? So they hanging on, but they hanging on by a thread. So, maybe it won't hurt so long. And like, I don't even know how I'm supposed to really feel about that, but that's just the first part of it. So I'll be back with the updates later. Thank y'all for being patient. Holla.
We want to go over some of your vocabulary.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Okay, because sometimes I think I get it and sometimes I don't. Like, little rah-rah is
Russia and the Russian soldiers.
Okay, what is Yuki?
So Yuki is Ukraine.
And then Zeke is
Comedy Zeke. That's President Zelensky. Yeah. And he's very talented. I can't, like, he's doing his thing. I can't even be mad.
yeah.
Here is AB telling us that Ukraine's President Zelensky might have been a comedian, but he is no joke.
Okay, so boom, Comedy Zeke had crashed the party in Muni the other day. He pulled in like cash dog, like I heard you folks was looking for me, so here I go. Muni, what's good? And the folks in Muni was like, Comedy Zeke, what is you doing here? Ain't you supposed to be protecting them folks over there in Yuki? Comedy Zeke said, Yuki straight. We got grannies on standby with they pots and pans ready to get down, get active if some stuff go down. Don't even trip me with all the smoke, but I'm finna tell you this right now. Y'all gonna stop sunning me. I know I was telling jokes 2 years ago, but keep playing with me and joke gonna be on you. Everybody keep bumping their gums about P running up on me, but at this point, P, if you gonna talk about it, be about it. Please run them hands, because we tired of hearing it.
Big Bang P, yeah.
Big Bang P, that's Putin.
Big Bang P then decided that little area in between Russia and Yuki that was keeping them separate, it don't belong to nobody. So guess what? I'm going to move my troops over there so we can keep the peace. Whole thing is we going to sneak you before you sneak us, so we need to see what the heck is going on. And so I guess that made Big Daddy Biden mad. So Big Daddy Biden pull up. He like, we finna apply some pressure. But let me tell you this. America applied more pressure to the Central Park 5 than they do on Big Bang P right now, okay? Them sanctions that Big Daddy Biden imposed, I could pay them off with an EBT card and my granny's Social Security check. So honestly, I'm not impressed. This the deal. You want some real news? Here you go. If you didn't get gas yesterday, you better get it today, because by tomorrow, it's going to be $30 a gallon. And I'm finna tell you this right now. You ain't finna get a Tesla because they didn't already recall all the ones we can afford.
You're telling us serious stuff. It's in a funny but smart way, because I gotta say, like, even with Trump out and the kind of fights that Biden and Harris are having to face, it's hard to stay positive and not just tune out of everything that's going on, because it's dire right now. And you give us hope.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Did we ask this? Who is Marco Polo?
Marco Rubio.
I thought so.
I love graham cracker.
Senator Graham Cracker?
Yeah.
That's
Senator Graham Cracker.
See, the thing about Lindsey Graham is every time he opens his mouth, I want to choke him.
Senator Sheets had nothing to do with the cause.
No, but I'm asking her about
you won't even
how she may feel about what y'all did.
Could we have Senator, your time has expired.
And what about OG Bozo? One of my
OG Bojo is Boris Johnson, who is the Prime Minister
of England.
Now, I think that is pure genius, don't you?
How do you come up with those names? They are so funny.
I don't even know. I don't have a rhyme or music. It's just like I find a character trait and try to create something from that, but also keep it like close to their name so people understand like who I'm talking to. But also, you know, I'm scared too, so I don't really want to say nobody's name straight up. Because my mama ain't got no ransom money. So
by the way, when you really get on a tear and you start talking really fast and it almost sounds like music, I love that you've got subtitles because like I want to know every word that you're saying.
I'm still working on it. Because again, like I said, I'm shy. So sometimes it's just like, okay, it's all in my head and I can just get it out. So let me just get it out, you know what I mean? Because I start going and then my tongue start, you know, my ADHD, my mouth moves faster than my brain. You know what I mean? Then I'm like, hold on, wait, what?
This is AB's rap on the inequities of prison sentencing.
We the same country who put Martha Stewart in prison for 5 months, gave her 2 years probation and a $30,000 fine for securing her own bag. We put OJ in prison for 9 years for stealing his own stuff back. The case before that ain't got nothing to do with me. But we just gave Crying Kimberly time out for killing somebody. So honestly, the intelligence is giving me slow, baby.
You said you were a poli-sci major. Do you remember when you first started getting interested in politics and current events? For me, the Watergate trial, that took up Monday through Friday afternoons. They wiped out soap operas and put Watergate on. And I was a big All My Children, One Life to Live fan. So without them, I'm like, I had to have something to watch. So that's when I started watching and started learning a little bit about politics. That piqued my interest. What was it with you that got you interested in this subject?
So my grandmother was a history teacher. Yeah. And so like I spent a lot of time, you know, I spent a lot of time with my granny growing up. So that kind of like history was like one of my favorite subjects because she always had me watching something, some sort of documentary or something. And I think like my biggest interest came during the O.J. Simpson trial. So my grandmother taped every single day of that trial. I watched every single day of that trial. So I've been a court TV junkie since I was a little one, right?
Wow.
And so that kind of piqued my interest in like, okay, like what can I do like with history and the law and politics? Like I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I was like, I like studying this stuff. Like I like seeing this. So, you know, I'm gonna try it. And my mom's thing was like, find somewhere you can get some money. Like, don't be out there studying your history, you're gonna be poor. So I was like, well, okay, if I do political science, that will open up so many other avenues for me. So so I started off as a poli-sci major, and then when my brother was arrested, then I double majored and ended up a poli-sci and a criminal justice major, and just kind of stayed on that path the whole way.
Can you tell us a little bit about what happened to your brother? Because that really was a jumping off point for you.
Yeah, definitely. So my brother was wrongfully convicted of murder. The murder occurred when he was 15 years old, and he was tried, convicted, and sentenced to 50 years to life in prison. So in this particular case, it was a gunshot, right? So even though you were not the person to actually issue the fatal shot, the fact that you were there makes you an accomplice and makes you just as liable as the actual murderer. So,
oh my God,
Brandon was basically convicted and given more time than the actual murderer, even the prosecutor in her closing argument, she's like, it's obvious this is not the person who, you know, issued the fatal shot, because they tried to say he had like a shotgun. They couldn't even find the shotgun one. It was a bunch of mess. But you know, her argument was like, but he runs with this dude right here. And so, you know, he's an accomplice and you don't get to look at him as a child. You don't get to feel sympathy for him, this, that, and the third. And it's like, girl, he's 15.
Oh my.
But I do know what messed us up is that we had one young person, because one of the defenses my brother had was that he was on MySpace at the exact time that this murder occurred. He was on MySpace with his girlfriend, you know, but MySpace was new at the time, right? So the aspect of social media. So most adults at that time didn't really even understand. The lawyers didn't even really understand how it really worked, right? So that was his defense. And the only person who could have really calculated like how that plays into he's probably not the person who did this was the younger guy.
And there was only one. Oh God.
Wait, the day of jury deliberations, somehow, some way, he get the wrong time to show up to court. And I'm not like, I don't want to be like conspiracy theorist or whatever, right? But he has the wrong time to show up to court. So he actually shows up late for jury deliberations. And the attorneys essentially stipulated for him to be basically removed from the panel and then to invite, the
Alternate?
the alternate, yeah. And so I think had that person been able to serve, Brandon would have been okay.
I can't believe the judge didn't say, I'm going to do better by this young man.
Judges have a lot of discretion, right? But you have to look at who judges are, who votes for these judges when you're thinking about county judges, right? Like when we go vote, first of all, we halfway show up to midterm. So let's start there. So then when we do go vote, what we do, we go vote for the president. We don't have to know who on Congress, who in our Senate, who in the House, who the mayor is, who the city council, right? Who has a lot of power. We don't have, no. We be like, okay, Democratic president, because that's historically Black folks. Okay, cool, right? We don't take accountability for the other offices, right, that we have a voice in. And so if the judge is voted in by conservative white people, who do you think the judge gonna have leeway for? Conservative white people, because those are the people who are going to continue to come out and make sure they keep their seat, right? Unless you're a federal judge where you're appointed and it's, life tenure or whatever case may be, but your county, state court judges, like, we get to decide who sits on those benches. We don't take the responsibility, and so we be mad when we don't have no say in the game, but you do go sit at the table, so we didn't know you wanted to be on the roll call.
Can I ask you, what's the status right now with your brother's case? Is there a room for another appeal? Does he have to just, this is so troubling.
So he has exhausted his appeals.
No.
Yeah, but the legislation is changing in California, right? So where we're at with it now is that we will probably be able to fight the sentence, not so much the conviction right now.
Okay.
So it's like a real conversation I had to have with him. Like, if you want to come home, I'm pretty sure I could get you home. Like, we could get the sentence reduced, right? Because you were juvenile and there's all these other factors that contribute to that. This was an assignment given to me by God. It was not my own decision, my own choice, right? He has his own journey that has been hard enough on him. He don't owe me nothing. But that is my brother, and you don't get to steal from my mama. You don't get to disrespect my family. You know what I'm saying? You don't get to drag us and think you're not going to hear from me. Like, let me keep it a buck, right? I'm still from the hood. I'm still with it. And even if I have to fight you in another way, right? So maybe I don't physically get in an altercation with you no more because I'm above that. But mentally, I guarantee you, that DA was not expecting me to be plotting on her for the last 15 years to make sure that my brother comes home.
You're in your last year of law school?
I have one more year.
One more year. I was wondering if you use your own vernacular to remember all those case studies that you have to learn.
I can't do it on the exam, but in my notes I do.
Yeah.
Because even for myself, right, as a law student, law school is hard, right? And I'm fairly intelligent, right? Like I not to toot my own horn, but I'm pretty smart. And even for me, it's a challenge because it's a language. You're learning a new language, and it's a language outside of my normal vernacular language, right? But also even in addition to my scholastic vernacular language, right? So there's another component to it. So for me, what I realized, and even like helping students sometimes on campus, is like, if we're going through a fact pattern and they're like, I don't get it, or we're going through a case, then I'll be like, okay, well, boom, this is what it looked like. Think about it like this, you know what I mean? And then like so many students have been like, can you write it down just like that, please? Like the cuss words and everything, because I got, you know what I mean? And so like, that's kind of my way of like filtering the information. Because I've had to tell my professors like plenty of times, I'm like, I'm translating. So I have to translate this language a new language I'm learning and not really comfortable with, into my own language so that I can even comprehend it. And then I have to regurgitate it back to you in your language. That's a lot of work. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of work on one person.
Even when you were just explaining like how you translated from law school to your friends and whatnot and went back, your voice changed. You had a whole different thing. Which was one of my questions. Like, how did you develop that character?
So in general, like, I'm really shy. I know, like, people are like, what? I'm like, no, actually, I'm very shy. And like, I'm a Capricorn, so, you know, we're pretty reserved. And yeah, okay. So when I am comfortable with my small circle of friends, right? Like, it's just kind of like, okay, just be myself and have a little fun, giddy, right? So I guess that's kind of where the character almost comes from. But when I speak in proper English, right? It's more so I'm conditioned that way through school and my profession. So I'm just as comfortable in that space. But I also have been able to compartmentalize when certain spaces are appropriate, or when a certain way for me to speak and present myself is appropriate. So it's code switching.
I think what she's talking about here is the connection between Russia and China. Well, listen up.
This the deal. So apparently, P had tried to go to Pimp Chi. You remember Pimp Chi? He the president of China, right? So he tried to go to his homeboy. He like, hey, Rizal, I need to hold something real quick. And she was like, dog, you gonna have to call Tyrone home. Call him. And you cannot use my phone because, see, I was with you when I thought it was just gonna be a couple of countries like funking with you, but you didn't make everybody and their mama and their granny and their baby daddy and the auntie mad. Like, no, See, and this the deal. Like, I like you because you messy and I'm messy too. I love it. Like, it was cool kiki at first, but see, at the end of the day, you were all the violence over there. You were all the violence, and like, I'm a businessman. And right now, you bad for business, bruh.
One of the things that really fascinates me about your videos is how interested and clear you are explaining world events, things outside of this country. How important do you think it is for young folks to know about world events?
I think it's very important because I think the ignorance is what keeps us stuck, right? When you're able to expand your mind, the dots start to connect a little bit more. You know what I mean? And so when you're ignorant to what's going on outside, then it's easier to keep you blinded about the realities that are going on in your own backyard. And then even like feeling pushed out of that type of conversation, right? You start to feel like, well, this ain't got nothing to do with me anyway. So what I need to go vote for, or what I need to do this for, I don't care. Like, y'all not gonna help me. But the thing is, like, if you understand how the entire cycle works and you understand the history of it all. For example, with the gas prices, right? When I was like, oh, y'all want some news? I got you. Guess what? Go get some gas today because it's going to be $8.99 a gallon tomorrow. What happened? The next day, they was like, oh, I'm glad I got my gas yesterday. Yeah. But if you weren't paying attention to the news, you would have woke up and been like, why is the gas so hot? What is the, right?
So you do make it relevant to the average American.
Again, when I was like, okay, well, if we beef with China, y'all know we get about 40% of our import from China. We getting our hair, our nails, if we got beef with China, we not getting none of that. We not producing hair weave in America. And you can hardly find Indian hair these days. You know what I mean? So it's like, we gonna be cut off. So we might want to know what's going on. So, like, I might need to stock up on some extra little snacks or something. Just go down. My EBT finna run out this week.
Oh my God, you are killing me.
Because I know if I can't get my wig or my lashes, it's a wrap. I love natural folks, but nah, I can't do it. I just don't got the patience or the discipline. I'm straight. Leave me up.
Can you tell us who were some of your mentors? You already mentioned your grandmother, who was a history teacher. Were there other people, notable people in the news that really made you go, I dig that?
You know what? Ironically, it's probably going to sound a little ghetto, but I'm a huge Nipsey Hussle fan. Like, I'm a huge follower of Nipsey Hussle, like from his out the trunk days, right? Because I loved his message and how he was so articulate, right? But still very down to earth and very like in tune with who he is as a person.
For people who don't know AB, what was his message?
His message basically was like, Black people, get it together. Like, let's get this money, right? Like, let's get this money. Let's start some businesses. Let's do it different. Like, they've been pulling the okie doke on us for a minute, right? Keeping us outside the loop of what's really going on. But he kind of learned how to take the street grind and correlate it to like the corporate grind, right? Similar to like, I'm taking street language and incorporating into political language, like, right? So he learned how to kind of do that and structure that. And then I love me some Oprah too. I ain't gonna lie to you, because Oprah, I love her. I don't care. It's like she run the game so cold, and people don't even realize how cold Oprah game for real is. They be trying to talk about. I'm like, Oprah get money and she help people and she do it on the low, so you don't even be in her business. So you could talk about her as much as you want to, but guess what? She was getting like, them white people pay her bills. Them white people is the reason why what she is today, and she still show up for the color folks. So dumb, yeah. Right? Like.
Yeah, frankly.
Yeah. So those are probably two like notable, probably the two most people I probably like.
You had a post where you weren't sure how you wanted to go forward with your career, what direction. Any more thoughts on that?
In terms of like what area of practice I will do, I still have no idea. Right now, especially right now, I'm just trying to keep my head above water and just like right. Once you have your law degree, you can do so much. So, I'm still gonna pass the bar, but I think even with the space opening up the way it is for me now, I think I will have way more opportunities than I ever honestly thought I could have, right? Because my thing was, I came here to get my brother home. I really never thought about like what I was gonna do after. I just like was tunnel vision on that. And so it wasn't until people started like asking me where I started kind of getting anxiety, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I like helping people and I like teaching people and I like working with people. And that's all I really know. So yeah, I know that like I'll find my space. I just don't know where that's at yet.
I was going to ask, like, are you beginning to make money off of this? Have you got any interest in that way? Because we've seen stupid videos on TikTok and people are suddenly influencers and they've got these like Coca-Cola deals. I mean, you're doing much more worthy stuff.
Thank you. I mean, I ain't got no Coca-Cola money yet, but I have had people contact me to collaborate with them, and they paying me. They pay me just money.
Good.
I didn't got a couple dollars. You know what I mean? So the thing is like the only thing I can do is get better now. Right. And then especially when I'm able to kind of focus on it full time, because for me, it was just like something I was just doing just because it was fun for me. Right. But now I'm like, oh, this has a huge impact.
Well, there's nobody that's like you. And what you're doing is not only informing and doing all the research so that nobody can challenge your facts, but you've got a great sense of humor. And it's something that we love. And humor is the best. It's the best weapon. It's powerful and it gets people listening. And you've got that and the smarts behind it. Here's AB on the history-making Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Okay, so boom. I don't know if you ever heard the saying that which is last will one day be first, but they must have had the Honorable Auntie Ketanji Jackson in line because, baby, for the last 233 years, there have been 115 Supreme Court justices. Only 5 of them been women, and only 2 of them been black. And truth be told, the black men didn't do nothing but play musical chairs because all they did was swap seats. But anyways, Big Press Biden appointed our first black female justice to the Supreme Court, and it's going to be the first time it's ever been 4 women on the court, and it's going to be the first time ever there has ever been 2 black people on the court.
They say with great power comes great responsibility. And I do feel responsible now because hearing so many people just be like, I didn't care about the news before, but now I need my tea every day. Hello, I'm logging in at 9 a.m. Where you at? Yeah. That is so powerful to me, right? For people to also feel empowered and feel in the know in a way that they probably never experienced before.
Well, that's our show. Thanks to our sponsor, BetterHelp. Join the 2 million plus people who have taken charge of their mental health with a BetterHelp therapist. And remember, as a special offer to Giles Files listeners, you'll get 10% off your first month if you use the code BetterHelp.com/GilesFiles. That's betterhelp.com/Giles Files. And a big thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring our podcast. Thanks to the incredible A.B. Burns Tucker. You are a badass. Now, clearly, our podcast is audio only, so make sure to check out A.B.'s videos and her subtitles to get the full impact of her message. Watch her on TikTok and Instagram at I Am Legally Hype 3 and on our YouTube channel at I Am Legally Hype. The Giles Files was created by Nancy Giles and Nancy Wyatt, produced, directed, and edited by Nancy Wyatt, and recorded at our studios in Weehawken, New Jersey. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Giles Files, okay? Oops.
A Huda Media Production.